How hot does a hot seat need to get before it gets so hot that you finally decide to bring some new cooks into the kitchen? Y'all know my thoughts on Boynton, but I don't know.
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. You can find me on Twitter at AllDayOState. We are available on every single podcasting platform as well as YouTube. Today, we are brought to you by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook betting partner. So, as the basketball season kind of came down to an end, there was a decent amount of people that were like, how can somebody be a proponent of retaining somebody like a Mike Boynton if they ever have any negative reactions about somebody like, let's say, a Mike Gundy. And, I was one of the people that would come to Mike Boynton's defense because it's not exactly the same. But one of the things that is the same is the production, or at least it needs to be, right? So Mike Boynton is year 6 into this whole thing, and it makes you wonder, look across the landscape of the entire campus, what coaches are 100% in the clear? What coaches should maybe be a little bit worried? And what dictates what direction that needs to go? So with Mike Boynton specifically, and we're also going to get to some more because, there was some baseball over the weekend that makes you scratch your head. There was some pretty awesome softball over the weekend, even though we did drop one that we probably should not have dropped. But I was one of those people saying Mike Boynton gets another year no matter what, just because of what we had coming back, coupled with the recruiting class coming in. Right? It's, I don't know, very, very widely understood or known as common knowledge that Mike Boynton's recruiting has never been much of a big issue, right? And this previous season, you knew we had a lot of people that were potentially coming back. So regardless of how the season itself went, a lot of us were very, very, very happy about the way the future looked. Regardless of if you take into consideration the run we went on, winning, 6, 7, 8 games there consecutively, or if you look at the latter half where we just kind of seemed to fall flat there at the end. With what we had coming back, coupled with what we had coming in, it's just like, okay, it's a logical thing to decide that we're going to keep Mike Boynton. And when you have coming in somebody like a consensus 4-star McDonald's All-American Brandon Garrison coming in, who went 5 for 5 in the McDonald's All-American game, yeah, that's somebody that's going to be able to help you tremendously immediately down low. But it wasn't a need to rush, right? We didn't need to rush it along because we still had Caleb Boone and Musa Cisse and Tyreek Smith. Now, we knew after this season ended, there was a high likelihood we were going to lose one of those guys. I think Caleb Boone, right? Everything was kind of weighing on whether Avery would stay or Avery would leave, and whichever direction Avery went, I think a lot of us realized Caleb was going to go the same direction. So even if you take Caleb Boone out of the equation, all right, fine, that's okay. You still got Musa Cisse, Tyreek Smith, and now Brandon Garrison. So you don't have to force him into learning anything too quickly. He can kind of come along at his own pace because we already had solid dudes there from the get-go. And then you have Eric Daly. Thank goodness Eric Daly decided to come to Oklahoma State University because there was a conversation, as even last week, that he would still maybe go the pro route, a.k.a. forego his college career and go straight to the NBA. That was an option that he was still discussing as of last week. So, yeah, it's very, very good news to hear that he's decided to come to Oklahoma State instead of go to the NBA. So, Eric Daly Jr. is a massive get, the biggest get we've got in a long time. And then you got to take into consideration, a lot of people are forgetting about Justin McBride. The guy was a 5-star consensus, top 10, had some injuries, put on some weight, at a preparatory academy, came back home to Texas, reformed his game a little bit, got back on track. So he's kind of somebody that is waiting waiting in the wings or hiding off in the side as somebody that may not play immediately. I think he will. And then you got Jamron Keller, who is that Byron Eaton, ice likely type of mold. He's going to take some time to develop, but he's got some capabilities right now. He's got the size that you're looking for to play a shooting guard type of position. His shooting, in my opinion, is going to need to come on a little bit at his career at Oklahoma State. Connor Dow, a little bit different story. His shot seems to be already there. He's a shooting specialist with 6'5", 6'6" height, 180, 185 pounds. He's going to have to put in some work, but he's that sharp shooting type of specialist that we know we've been missing. These are all reasons to be excited. But when you take all of that and then you combine it with the knowledge of us losing Musa Cisse and possibly even Tyreek Smith, it makes me wonder. I mean, it's too late now. Next season is next season. But to me, part of the reason keeping Mike Boynton around for another season was not only because of this phenomenal recruiting class, which I guess some could argue was going to give him another opportunity no matter what, right? Which is understandable. But to me, it was because of the recruiting class and a couple people coming back. Most importantly, Bryce Thompson and Musa Cisse. If Bryce Thompson and Musa Cisse come back with this new squad, it's going to be a great year. It's going to be a high expectations year. Okay, so if we lose Musa Cisse, we've already lost Caleb Boone. We've already lost Avery Anderson. How much is too much? How much attrition does it equal before we're like, oh, well, these two things don't quite add up? Now, again, I understand it's probably too late. It is what it is for this coming season. I'm excited still yet to see what this coming season is because let's be honest, we didn't really use our bigs very well at all whatsoever. So I don't understand why they would be 100% committed and wanting to stay. I get that side of the coin. But for all the recruiting acumen that Mike Boynton has, for all his abilities to retain guys that are going to be crucial for the next season, this one seems like a miss. Even if it's all about the Benjamins for Musa Cisse. Okay, still, that means and somewhere along the lines we missed. Did we get screwed out of the tournament this season? Yes. Yes, we did. Did he get screwed out of it the previous season due to the NCAA? Yes, he did. Which is, again, why he's getting a little bit more of a leash. But this coming season, do you not have to draw a hard line in the sand and say, if it goes to this point, got to do something different? To me, the answer to that question is unequivocally yes. And it's also unequivocally, it's got to be more than just make the dance. That cannot be the barometer for success. It has to be, in my opinion, go deeper than that, right? We're going into year 7 now. He recruits at the top of the top of the top. He's got screwed at the top, by the top of the NCAA a couple different times. But now it's time to prove the worth. It is what it is. Mike Boynton has to not only win next season, but in my opinion, win in a good-sized way. Like go to the second weekend of the tournament type way. Because if it doesn't add up, the attrition and the retention and the recruiting, somewhere down the line, heads got to roll. And you're hearing we're going to shake things up on the staff. Okay, yeah, that's because we need to. Absolutely need to do that. But we got to do more. Because if you'd have told me 2 months ago we weren't going to make the tournament, we were going to lose Musa Cisse, we were going to lose Caleb Boone, we were going to lose Avery Anderson, I would have told you, regardless of what the recruiting class was, okay, maybe we should look into this a little deeper. But it is what it is. Here we are. But it's a good segue to baseball, because I think the question has to be asked there as well. The same can be said about a multitude of sports. But before we jump into that, you guys do know I have to remind you fine folks out here about FanDuel, especially that we're kind of at the heart of baseball season now. No matter what you're doing, if you're trying to expand your financial capabilities, go ahead and hit yourself a grand slam, throw yourself a no-hitter, get a double play, and get hooked up right now with FanDuel, because new customers have the opportunity right now to step up to the plate and get your no-sweat first bet. It's up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if your first bet does not win. Just go to FanDuel.com/lockedon right now to sign up. Place your first bet and get up to $1,000 back in bonus bets if that bet does not win. Do not miss this opportunity, y'all. Get your hands on this no-sweat first bet. Again, it's up to $1,000 back when your first bet doesn't win by joining FanDuel.com/lockedon. Sign up today at FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of Major League Baseball. All right, so the baseball segue. The same question has to be asked about baseball. I love Josh Holliday. I hope he doesn't go anywhere, ever. But do we want to fall in the same breath as a potential football scenario, where we're just going to let him coach and coach and coach without changing things until he deems it necessary to move on? A viable question, guys. He started off his career crazy, right? 2014 Big 12 Coach of the Year. Took him to Omaha, super regional champions. And then it looked like the sky was going to be the limit from there. And then the recruiting continued to uptick, even when we had, the discussion about Ali P. Reynolds needing to be renovated, updated, so on and so forth. The facilities and everything was hurting recruiting. So we were able to recruit at a high level, even when we had Ali P. Reynolds at the stadium. And then you get Obrey, which is the nicest stadium in all of college baseball. And that's not me saying it, right? There's several publications that say the same exact thing. But we have all of these facilities, so recruiting has done what? It's even got better. But the record on the field has not increased. We were on a Twitter space the other day talking about Rob Walton. Genius, right? He did phenomenal, crazy things at ORU. He had zero reason to leave Oral Roberts, because at Oral Roberts, he was taking teams to regionals and super regionals on a regular basis. So he was doing a phenomenal job at a small school. Him coming to Oklahoma State was supposed to be like one of the biggest coups of all time. And then we also get Matt Holliday, and then we get Robin Ventura, and then we get Jordy Mercer. Like, are you kidding me? We have the embarrassment of riches of anybody in the country. When you look at the baseball staff, who's got it better on paper? Nobody. Absolutely nobody. Not Vandy, not Mississippi State, not Arkansas. None of them on paper have it better than Oklahoma State University. So why are we seeing the same issues over and over and over and over, right? The definition of insanity, we all know. Our problem seems to be pitching rotation. And it seems to be the mismanagement of that pitching rotation every single year. We're seeing dudes like Peyton Battenfield, like Jason Hirsch, do more in the major leagues than they ever did at O State. Now, what does that mean? To me, it means that maybe Rob Walton's missing something. I've heard rumors that there's some of the new high-end bells and whistles equipment that he just refuses to use because he's so old school. Okay, that's fine, as long as it works. You can not use a single piece of electronic equipment ever, and nobody would give 13 hoots as long as it was productive on the field. If you got a bunch of guys with a 3.0 ERA or below, or even a 4.0 ERA below, and have a deep staff, then who cares what you use or don't use? We don't. We don't care. You could buy Rob Walton a $73 million baseball facility just for pitching, and if he decided he didn't want to use it and we were still going to Omaha all the time, who cares? Maybe we just wasted some development on a building, but nobody would care because it still is about production. Everywhere, every job you ever go to, it's supposed to be about production. You haven't seen that always in football. Look at the tight end. There's been zero production, yet he's had a job since 2014. Look at the offensive line. Zero production. Other than maybe a Tevin Jenkins, you could potentially possibly say, yet we still continue down that trend for year after year after year. And I'm okay with it right now because right now we've shifted everything. We've adjusted everything. So now I think Coach McAdoo can succeed as a tight end coach. Now I think Coach Dickey can succeed as an offensive line coach. You got to change something. If you're not going to change personnel, you got to change scheme, philosophy, something. But in baseball, we keep not doing the same thing every year. We have all this talent. Like we have somebody who transferred from LSU to come sit on the bench. That's how much talent we have. Yet, when we play small ball teams, we always lose. Every year, write it down. Oral Roberts, Dallas Baptist. It's going to be a loss every single year. Do they get the big time Nolan Schubert type of recruits? No, they don't. So they don't have a bunch of 6'9", 6'7", 6'10 dudes that weigh 210, 220, 250. They don't have all that. So they have to work on the minute details of baseball, small ball, bunting, shifting, hitting runs, moving runners over, double steals, little things like that, messing with the pitch count, getting in the pitcher's heads, delivering when you have RBIs, when you have runners in scoring position. And I bring this all up because if you watched the softball game the other day, we lost to Iowa State. We won the series, won the first two games, lost the third game. That should not happen. We should not lose to Iowa State. But it did happen. But you also know that it's not that big of a deal because Coach Kenny Gaweski will find a way to fix the problem. Whatever the problem is, and I know losing a game here and there is not that big of a deal, but it's the addressing of it and the willingness to correct. I really, really want everything to work out for everybody, John Smith even. But the history of our program means that it's at this level, which means that if you're not competing for national titles or at least top 3 in the country, then it's not okay. And we're not there right now. We went from last year was our worst finish in Oklahoma State history or second worst in Oklahoma State history to this season going 17th in the country in wrestling. Love John Smith. He's a legend. Some stuff with the Ferrari situation. Maybe you set him backwards. Okay, cool. You got the pound for pound best wrestler in America coming in next season. So next season, we have to do something. Next season has to be a make or break a year for wrestling. And now the question needs to be, when's make or break for Coach Holliday in baseball? Because it looks like, right, it was pretty cut and clear that Oklahoma State and Texas were the kind of heavy hitters of the Big 12 this season. And then you had TCU, Texas Tech, that was kind of, right there with us. And then West Virginia is going to be a team starting to figure it out. K-State could maybe figure it out. OU, after their massive run last season to Omaha, maybe they were going to be a solid team this year. Well, what has happened is Texas is Texas, even though we beat Texas. We took the Texas series. But we lost the series to Texas Tech, who's like the youngest team in the Big 12. And then we just lost the series to West Virginia at home. And they're better. They've been better. We've watched West Virginia get better literally every single year in baseball. So we knew eventually they were going to be a problem. And here they are, but not a problem at home. Not a problem when you have the lead in the Big 12 race and a big enough lead that there's probably no way Texas is going to catch you. As long as you continue to take care of business, even if they won at the same clip, you're going to have the advantage. You're going to have a couple of games up, and you had the series head-to-head. So this season was tailor-made for us to win the Big 12 regular season title because the front half of the schedule was so heavily loaded, and the back half was supposed to be fairly simplistic, and then we lose a series to West Virginia. I expected to lose a game to West Virginia. I did, but not the series and not in the way we did, which has been a recurring theme for years now, which is we leave pitchers in too long, over and over and over and over. It's like punting every year in the fourth quarter in Bedlam. It's like getting 17th at the national championships in wrestling. It's like getting 4th in the Big 12 in golf. These things should not happen. Especially with this new athletic village and everything, the ascension of Oklahoma State is only going to continue to get better. I am a huge proponent of alumni taking over. I think that's what's best for the university. But the alumni that take over have to be productive, or what are we doing? We can keep recruiting every year and having top 10 classes. Go Josh Holliday, go Mike Boynton. I agree with that. But it has to equal results too. Thank you, Coach Kenny Gaweski. Recruiting gets better every year. Expectations get higher every year, and he's delivering every year. But we don't hold every sport accountable like we do softball. And I understand it's just we're getting lucky to some degree. But Dave Smith has had to earn his medal over his years at Oklahoma State by winning national titles, as has equestrian by winning national titles, right? We've got to hold every sport equally accountable, in my opinion. John Smith, it's on a different weighted scale because he is John Smith. Like, I get that. Mike Gundy's on a different weighted scale to some degree because he's Mike Gundy. I get that. Coach Boynton, it's put up or shut up time. Coach Holliday, it's put up or shut up time. It is what it is. Please comment down below and tell me if I'm wrong, if I miss a coach, or your opinions. What coaches need to be on the hot seat? What coaches don't? What am I seeing? What am I not seeing? Let me know down in the comments below. All righty, y'all. Until the next one, as always, I love you all. God bless. Go Pokes. And thank you for tuning in to make this your first listen here on Locked On Oklahoma State. Later.